Welcome back to A Faster Me. We are out here at Wolfe in Thousand Oaks. This is the women's 4-5, masters 35 plus, and I am off to a bad start. I started on the front line, which my plan was to, just get a good start, be out front, even if I had to be in the wind for a little bit. But unfortunately, we were standing there for, I think we started maybe between 5 and 10 minutes late, and I had been clipped in on one side, and my foot kind of went a little bit numb, and I almost lost my balance as I was starting to clip in, and the rider to my right came over a little bit in front of me, and I just had a moment of, when you come to a stop sign and almost put your foot down when you're still clipped in. I had one of those moments. So I said, just take a deep breath and get clipped in. That you don't want to have a crash on the starting line. That'd be very embarrassing. So anyway, I just was at a disadvantage from the very beginning. And my teammate Laura up there did a great job. She got a great start and was just right on the front. So I was doing some work to try to get back up to her. But yeah, definitely not the way I wanted to start.
Yeah, Laura just made a move up the inside, and I think she's going up maybe third, fourth position right now. But I think despite the clip-in issue or whatever, you did a good job recovering. You're not sitting bad here. Obviously you want to be tucked in maybe a little better, but you're not using too many watts. And as I say that, you accelerate. But yeah, you're doing pretty good right here. And there's Laura up there maybe in third position, third, fourth wheel.
Yes. She's doing a great job. This is probably her best race. I'm really proud to see just how far she's come and her work out there. So here I'm just trying to find ways to move up. I definitely wanted to be in the inside. And, again, we are hugging a very tight inside line, like almost to the right of the yellow line the whole time. The corners were definitely not as challenging as I had anticipated. I thought the first one with a little decreasing radius would be a little bit more challenging, but it seemed wide open also. And just the road being so wide, the conditions, the surface was good. And I think, we took the corners just at a much slower pace than, I would like to. But again, be off the front if you want to take the lines how you want to, right?
Yep. And speaking of off the front, there's Laura goes to the front for a pull. And, I'm really proud of Laura. She started cycling just last year. So, she sat out and just trained hard for a year and then started racing this year. And she's on the front right now pulling in a race. So, yeah, that's definitely, a great job of just improving over a year from not riding a bike before that.
And there was a little kind of sketchy moment of, I think that is the mother-daughter team. I think she was following her daughter, and there was a little moment in front. She said kind of something. I may have said something. But, again, this is just a race of we have such a wide range of talent. We've talked about it before, from Category 1 with some of the Masters women all the way down to brand new riders. I mean, I think someone on the start line was just even not knowing what to do first race or race or two. And so, it was very evident to me this race, just seeing how aggressive a lot of us were, just battling out there. It's great to see how competitive it is, and no matter what your level you're coming to race, there's a lot of beginner riders that are incredibly strong and maybe don't know the lack of bike handling or experience of riding in a group and some of the do's and don'ts. So yeah, it just is, it's unfortunate that I saw a number of moments where I was fairly certain that there'd be a crash in the race just because of how aggressive people were riding, kind of coming up. I kind of joked as I got off the course that I'm a punk. I backed off a number of times to give people the wheel just because I wasn't, willing to kind of risk some of the battling. And there was attacks like this. It just started on the right side, and I think Sherry, got to a bigger gear, stood up and kind of started sprinting, and I'm just a little bit behind in my reactions, but the efforts were, I would say that this race, probably more so than any other race, there was more, I guess I would say attacks, because I think in previous races there's a lot more accelerations, but there was actually some attacks that went on,
Yeah.
the far side of the road. There was a woman who is a little bit older. I know that they were talking about her at the start of the race, has maybe 30, 40, I don't want to misquote anything, but years of experience racing. And, she was kind of joking of haven't raced for a while or anything, but she was putting the hurt on us, attacking at different times, and it was kind of fun to just see the experience.
Yeah, that was a great attack, actually. She came from far back, so nobody knew she was going. She went up the inside and carried a lot of speed, and then moved over to the middle or the left so she can make the turn. I think Marlena jumped on it and jumped on her wheel to kind of cover the attack. But yeah, that's how you want to attack. You come with a lot of speed from the back. No one knows you're there, and yeah, you can get it some pretty good distance. But she definitely woke everyone up, and you guys definitely picked up the pace now.
And here you see Rachel in the kind of light pinkish kit come by me. There was just a little bit of gap. I had let a little bit of distance come between me and the peloton, and she came around. So, great job to her.
Yeah, you actually, when you turn that corner forward, you end up putting in 500 and something watts just to get back on the wheel. So it was definitely a strong attack, and you guys had some high speed going there.
Yeah, it's so I guess a little frustrating right when you think you have something a little bit dialed in. You have just a race with a whole different personality, and I did not feel that this was my best race. I didn't race as efficiently as I would have liked. I was out in the wind just way too much. Just the attacks shuffled you back so far, especially if the attack was like I'm on the inside. There was a few attacks way on the left side, and people would come. It was like a whole train, coming up, which hopefully we will be able to point out. But so I just found myself doing so much work to try to make up spaces and not sitting in very well. So,
I mean, it takes time to get comfortable and just to keep that focus the entire time. Sometimes it's just a mental thing. You definitely have the physical ability. You've shown that like numerous times over the last 2 years. So it's more just dialing in the racecraft now. I mean, if you look at Catalina right here to your left, she's real calm, comfortable. She's on Feline's wheel, and she doesn't look like she's using too much energy. And a second ago, you were on her right side, and you were doing 230 watts, which is way too many watts. You need to be tucked in,
I do know, and I was trying to find ways to do that, but then it seemed like an attack or an acceleration on the other side, and then I didn't want to be shuffled to the back, so I just was constantly trying to move up. But there's just the corners that's like 5-6 wide going into the corners. That is just scary.
Well, that's what happens. Same thing in my race when it gets real slow and no one wants to do the work on the front, which don't blame anyone. I mean, I don't blame anyone because it's the same thing. You need some teammates. If you want to keep the race a little bit faster and safe, you need some teammates, because it's hard to be the one pulling all the time if you're not going to get any benefit from it. And if you have, say 4 or 5 teammates, it's easy for 1 or 2 of the teammates to set the pace and rotate through. But
yeah, here the pace is picking up. Somebody went off. I don't know. I think they announced that they were going to have 7 Prims, which we probably only do maybe 10 laps or so. I don't know exactly how many, but that's a Prim almost every lap.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing in between 2.5 minutes and 3 minute lap times, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you're gonna have anywhere between, I don't know, maybe close to 12 to 15 laps or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and definitely haven't timed a lap, but
yeah, you guys
I'd be surprised if we were doing less than 3-minute laps.
Yeah, you guys are starting to pick it up though. The pace is getting a little higher. It's a little better. Well, it's bunching up again.
Every corner we bunch up.
Again, but yeah, that was the first time I've actually seen you guys on the left side of the road though. This is the first time on the left side of the road. It's definitely safer taking the corners from there. I know it opens up a dive bomb, but It only opens up a dive bomb if you're going slow speed. When you're going a little faster, yeah, it's definitely the left side of the road is safer to take these right-hand turns.
Yeah, this is what I was saying before of just the experience, because there was a lot of, if there was an attack, we'd move, across the whole road. Like sometimes if someone didn't want to pull, they'd pull way over, and sometimes the whole peloton would go with them. So there was just a lot more movement across the road than in a lot of the races I've been in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, the whole thing is really just the wide gap in skill levels and experience. I mean, Masters Cat 1 to first time racing Cat 5 is a big gap, and I don't know. I mean, hopefully the organizers will hear this eventually. I know a lot of the women have been talking about it throughout the year. I know a lot of people like to see it because it puts 30 women together in a peloton, but
But unfortunately, almost every time it has been a field like this, we have had crashes. And I know that there's crashes in a lot of races, but that is part of the sport. But I think some of this could be avoided by, not having such a wide range of skill levels. And I can acknowledge, I mean, my skill has definitely improved. I'm much more comfortable on the bike, but I still don't have the skill and comfort to be kind of battling in their center of the peloton and knowing exactly, what to do at certain points. So those are things that I think I'm still growing and learning in.
yeah. And that's fine. I mean, that's everybody has that. Like, we're always improving. As the more you race, the more you get comfortable.
There is just, you see that group right there in the front, just so tightly bunched together, just kind of fighting for wheels. And
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold. I mean, because part of it is you have to be close to get maximum benefit of the draft, even as a peloton. These same group of women, if you spread them out, it's less effective for the peloton to cut the win. So yeah, the peloton goes faster as you're close. When you have gaps in there, that means the air is getting through. So yeah, it takes skill to ride close to people, but it is also the way you're supposed to race. People just got to get better at being aware of their surroundings, holding their lines, and don't be afraid to say, I need to improve. Look out for clinics, stuff like that. Get into some group rides, and recognize your skill level if you can.
And there, you see the green helmet. That's Anya. She hasn't raced that much this season. Spoke to her father, and they've been doing a lot more training. But, the junior, she does an excellent job of hanging onto wheels, riding in there, really riding hard, and I would say safe. I found myself behind her a couple times, and the draft benefit is just almost non-existent. But she does know how to battle and keep that wheel and ride real comfortably in a group.
Yeah, I remember saying this a year ago with Anya on some of the races at Majestic, but saying like, yeah, I want to ride like her when I grow up, because you can see she's definitely assertive. She definitely holds a wheel. She's steady. You know what she's doing. I mean, it's a little different too because they do it also out of necessity, because they're so light that the wind has a greater effect on them and they need to stay tucked in. But yeah, we all can learn a lot from, just how assertive they are on holding the wheel without being too aggressive and bumping people, things like that.
Yeah, I was looking at the watts I was doing here. Looks like a good VO2 effort over 200 to kind of make up some spots. And unfortunately, I didn't have heart rate. So even kind of seeing the setup of our, what are those, the
graph?
The metrics.
Yeah.
Are different, so I was trying to even find where the watts were for a second, but it was a little disappointing to not have heart rate. I think my battery died.
Yeah,
so.
Unfortunately, when there's no heart rate, I can't use our the usual graphics that we use. It's only available on certain settings. So I use this one usually when there is no heart rate, but yeah, you're definitely not tucked in like you could have been, and 260 watts is a lot for you. It's not that you can't do it, but you can only do that for a few minutes. And yeah, you don't want to be out in the wind like that when there's no need for it.
Yep, which I did, as you see here again, trying to kind of move up out in the wind, not finding a good rhythm, just did way too much work. I was spent from, I think, the beginning, the first effort. My legs just felt tired.
Yeah, but you're in good position here. It looks like you might be about 10th wheel or so, which is not bad. Just got to move a little bit more to your left towards Catalina there and be behind the young lady in the black and yellow here. And then you have good protection. I mean, your watts are pretty low here. And then right there where Marlena goes by, you should have jumped on her wheel, used that opportunity. You do, but you're late. So you used 500 watts to get on her wheel opposed to moving over early and using probably 200, 250 watts. Yeah, that's a big effort. That's a big surge. And now you're out in the wind by yourself. So you got to move over to the left. And
Yes, I was trying to get back in because I didn't really want to be quite second wheel there, but then you see I just have a hard time getting back in.
well, the thing is, you don't actually need to get back in, but you do need to get over right closer and have the effect of the draft. And if you stay wide to the right, no one's going to let you in anyway. So if you move over to the left a little bit more, make it a little closer, one opportunity is usually open and you can get in, or someone actually may even just let you in.
And here I am. I went from second, third, fourth wheel to 15th or 20th wheel.
Yeah. I mean, see, there was a gap there that you could have been on Anya's wheel and you hesitated and the young lady in green took it. So you could run down that attack on the right there.
Yeah, you see, I can't run anything down too well. I'm
Yeah.
just going backwards. I'm feeling tired with this VO2 effort, 200 plus watts. I'm just going backwards.
Well, 200 watts is not that much for you, but when you're over
Might have been
230,
250.
yeah, it was 260 or so. When you're over 230, then it's an issue. And even 230, you shouldn't be doing when you're in the group like this. You gotta tuck in.
Like I said, right when you feel you have something down a little bit, you feel like you're back to the drawing board. But no, I mean, I was happy with my mindset of really racing and still competing despite a few little bumps in the road.
Yeah, you're not doing that bad. I mean, I think it's maybe just being a little bit hard on yourself. We all do that because we have expectations, and the more we race and get comfortable, then you think like, okay, the next one I'm gonna podium or top 10 or something, you know, and then you find yourself struggling again. But it's just all part of the learning curve, and it's not easy. It's, you know, there's danger, there's tactics, there's fitness involved. There's a lot of things that can, there's a lot of obstacles in this sport, and that's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah, and I'm not so worried about my results exactly, but I think definitely wanting to race smarter and the results will come. You know, I don't mind that I have some kind of experimenting, or, you know, last week we tried an attack that failed miserably. Not so upset about that, but when my plan was to really kind of sit in, stay towards the front, and not really executing on those things and not riding as smart tucked in, because, you know, last weekend I rode a lot smarter, tucked in a lot better. So yeah, I mean, it's not that it's awful. I do, you know, I do sit in a little bit here. I'm
You're doing okay. I mean,
doing
you're not,
okay, but yeah, it's definitely not, you know, what I would have wanted.
Yeah. But no, I don't. I mean, I think the way the race plays out, other than you're using a lot of watts, so that's your long-term fatigue. You're just back a little bit, but other than that, I think, you know, honestly, you have some good opportunity, and you're showing that you can move up and down. I think obviously you're recognizing things a little better, even if you're late on them. I mean, if you watch my videos, I'm late a lot of times too. I miss moves that I can be in. I make mistakes. Yeah, it's just something that we have to become. It needs to become second nature for us. We just need to do it more. It becomes more natural.
I blame it on my slow twitch muscles. I have good slow twitch muscles, and the fast twitch muscles are gaining a little, but they are not liking to cooperate. And this past week of training was all kind of fast twitch, a lot of sprinting. I think I almost threw up one morning in my 30-second efforts.
a good job here of moving up, though. Kind of protected by the young lady in green here. I can't remember if there was any crosswind. I know it was a headwind coming up this way, but I can't remember if it was coming left or right or anything like that.
And here, this young lady, well, I don't really know how old she is. I think a little younger-ish.
Young lady's fine.
So I followed her for a while, and I think, though, that I'm still doing a lot of watts because really I'm bigger and I don't have such an arrow position, even though I think I am being in my drops. But
I think more so you're just not tucked in. I mean, you're doing like 205 watts for a minute, and I think behind her you can, like now you can do under 200 watts when you're tucked in properly.
And it felt okay here. Second wheel I was, good. And you see, I'm only doing 140 here, so
exactly, and
it was nice.
And you shouldn't be so hard on yourself, see, because I mean you're in your third wheel basically. Tied for second wheel right here with, is that Sherry?
Kenya, I think.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Yeah, well, you're tied for second wheel right here, and that's doesn't get much better than that other than pulling. So, you may want to drop back to fifth wheel, but yeah, you're in good position here. Now you just got to hold it.
Probably one of the times I let myself get punked off the wheel. No.
Well, actually, she did move a little bit. The lady in green did move to her right a little bit. And I think that is Kenya.
And Kenya's done a great job, kind of racing towards the front and, putting in good effort. So, great job to her.
Ooh, that's a wide line there.
Yeah.
Feline took the tight line, and you can see just from cornering more efficiently, she ended up getting like a bike length or two ahead, and the young lady in green ran wide, and that's definitely the slower line out there.
And there's Lisa right there, and spoiler alert, she had her second victory in the Masters 35 plus in a row. So most people don't win ever in a race, and I think to have two in a row is pretty awesome. So congratulations to her. So here it's just so crazy how you can just go from being in great position to being shuffled back almost, it seems like, in an instant. It's kind of the theme of the race. Are you getting it?
I don't think you wanted to be up there. I don't think you wanted to be up there. I think you were coasting while everyone attacked. Yeah.
Lies, I tell ya.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I love this circuit also. I think definitely going to come back next year. Probably do more than one race next year. But yeah, this is a nice circuit. The surface isn't too bad. I think the event was really won. So kudos to Serious Cycling and Major Motion and all the other sponsors. I think it was pretty well done. I love it. I like the flowing of it. This first turn up here is a little weird, but the street is so wide it ends up being just a regular 90-degree turn.
And here I shifted my mentality from the beginning of the race to I came on the outside, which I know is not safer, but with how tight everyone was hugging the corners, and I saw a number of kind of a little bit of uncomfortable movements, I moved to the outside and was able to take the corners with a little bit less power.
Yeah.
So
just hard to keep your position out there. If you take the outside line, typically you got to be carrying a little bit more speed, or you're going to get shuffled back naturally anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people like taking the outside because there's room. There's a little more room, but unfortunately, in general, most of the time when there's a problem, it gets pushed to the outside. So I like the inside better, and I can protect myself a little better in there. I think on the outside, sometimes you're at the mercy of others.
Yeah, it's just a give and take and hard to know. Like I said, my initial plan was to stay inside, which I did for a good chunk of the race, and then somehow kind of was outside. There's another attack on the inside, and you see, kind of different people reacting throughout the peloton, and things speed up pretty significantly.
Yeah, and if you see there, you lost like 4 positions by turning wide and people going underneath.
Mm-hmm. And I saw I was doing like 300 watts.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And there's, I think, Natalie in the black on my right. Unfortunately, she's involved a little bit later in a crash.
Yeah, they're definitely, I don't know, it seems like the attack happens every time at the same spot. Coming into turn 3, that attack happens. You guys got to be ready for it on the next turn. And it's a good spot too, because you're at pretty much the fastest part of the course. When you make the turn 3, then turn 4 goes into a headwind. So yeah, if you get a little gap to open, sometimes it's a little harder to close.
Yeah, and then sometimes it was significant slowing down on the straight, in the corners. Yeah, just there was a lot of.
I think that was the time where
movement.
Rachel went around you to close that gap, because she just shot around real quick and closed the gap.
So it happened more than once, is what you're telling me? No.
Possibly. So this is where you lose efficiency right here. Like, you're behind Rachel and you move to the left, and there was no reason to move to the left. If you're not going to move up, don't jump in the wind out there. You just slot behind her. And it's almost like we said before, it's almost like you want to see around the rider in front of you, and you're like never really tucked in as well as you could be. You definitely want to ride offset a little bit, but you got to protect yourself from the wind.
Well, and that's something too. I don't want to use my brakes, so sometimes I overdo. What am I trying to say? I over exaggerate of getting out instead of just pulling off just slightly to get in the wind. I pull out a little bit further.
Yeah, and that's a good tactic sometime, especially when you're like in a group ride pace lining. But it's not the best tactic when someone's going to steal your wheel from you and not let you back in. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but really you just got to use a little better judgment as you're gaining on that person, and you need to stop pedaling sooner. Because yes, you're right, you do not want to hit your brakes, because every time you hit your brakes, you're going to have to use watts to re-accelerate again.
So here in front of me is the more experienced rider that they were talking about. Dara may have been her name. I'm not 100% sure, so forgive me if I have the name incorrect. But
In the blue?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I've seen her attack a couple times, so let me just try to sit behind her if I can. There's a little funny moment here, I think. Can't remember exactly what happened, but I recalled something in the race, but can't remember now what it was.
But if you see what I was talking about right there, Dara was on the outside.
There it was.
I think she just hit a reflector.
Might have been
But
that.
Dara was on the outside there going into that turn, and because you're on the outside, she lost like five spots, just from people turning underneath her. The inside is definitely the shorter route, but I think for whatever reason, the women's peloton or the women's 4-5 and Masters 35 plus peloton on these last, basically all year, they've just been too tight though the entire lap on the inside, and it makes the turns really hard to navigate and makes the speed slow down a lot as well, because you can't carry speed when you're that tight to the inside.
So I don't know if we're going into if this is the last lap.
Yeah, I think it is. This is definitely the last lap here. And if you look, you've been doing over 230 watts this entire lap, and that's incredibly taxing on your legs. I mean, you guys are doing almost 3-minute laps, so yeah, 3 minutes at close to 250 to 300 watts. That's gonna really tax your legs for the sprint finish.
Yeah, there I just finally saw 190 some. That's the least amount of watts I've done so far, but yeah, I just know that I need to be up in a better position, and I'm just tired. Here, Marlena comes around and kind of looks back at me, and I was not going to make the mistake I made at Laverne of not going with her. So even though I am a little slower to react, I am going to jump on her wheel, because she is showing she's willing to give a good dig, and we weren't teammates yet, but I said she gets the best teammate award for the day, because she gives me a great kind of lead out and pull up, still looking behind, and so I just move up with her, and we're kind of coming around the outside, still both of us doing way too much work, and coming into corner 3, unfortunately, there's going to be a a crash. And
Yeah, so like I think that's the thing. Like, really, all of you guys are doing equal work right here because no one's really tucked in. So the people to the right, yeah, they're tucked in, but you guys are doing probably the same amount of watts here. So if you look to the right side, you see in black and blue up there, you see Natalie in the black. She goes to stand. It looks like she falls, but she runs into the back of Sherry's wheel. Charity's wheel. It looks like Natalie's front wheel hits Charity's derailleur, gets stuck, and flips them both.
so there will be, a crash video breakdown to follow, so we're not going to do that now. But here I was feeling decent of having a good finish, because usually I have a pretty good amount of power here at the end, so I was just trying to maintain, but I was dying. And unfortunately, I mean, this is probably the only time that I've seen this happen to me in a race, where people who were obviously behind the crash come around me. So I just was spent from doing way too much work, because
Yeah.
I'm really going about as hard as I can. I started sprinting way before. So anyway, there you have it. Tune in next time.
See you at CBR. Oh, not you. You're not going to CBR.
Don't rub it in. Gotta work.